Well, I'm what's keeping you from lunch. So in the words of Elizabeth Taylor, to one of her many husbands, I'll try not to keep you too long.
LOA,
We're trying to navigate through this thing called transformation, being more, doing more, and having more.
LOA.
Much has been talked about in the arena of leadership. John Maxwell, leadership luminary, said, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Every one of you in this room will either directly or indirectly influence at least 10,000 people. What is a leader's primary goal in transformation? Number one, teach people things they can learn on their own. Number two, take them to places they cannot go on their own. And number three, introduce them to people they could not meet on their own. Teach people things they could not learn on their own, take them to places they could not go on their own, and introduce them to people they could not meet on their own. Culturally, I identify with more of you than I do with my home in the West now for over 30 years. I was born and raised in India. My mother was a child bride. She was betrothed to my daddy when she was all of 14. She married him and came to live with him at 15. Brother at 16, me at 19. My mama had an 8th grade education, but was one of the most transformative leaders I've ever met. Because by the time she passed away early this year at the age of 77, slowly and methodically, every chance she got, my mama went back and continued to learn. And before she passed away, she got her master's degree from the local university. My father studied under a streetlight to graduate from college because his parents couldn't afford electricity. He taught me a great leadership principle. Genius is the ability to focus on the task at hand. Times were tough, he went out and got a job. He had an undergraduate degree, but decided, like my mom, that they would continue learning. Last year, at the age of 83, my father from that same university got his PhD.
Wow.
So when you look at learning as a constant, this is something that I'm going to try to encourage you with.
Yes.
Now you have interacted with people. I'm a different animal. I'm not old. I'm just a young guy with old hair. I just recently celebrated the 36th anniversary of my 20th birthday. So I've had a few trips around the sun, and in this travelogue, I've had the privilege of flapping my gums in 70 countries on 6 continents. But I went to America with $9 in my pocket looking for a dream. Many of you are at different points in your career. Some of you are at the cusp of making it big. Some of you have already made it big, and some of you will be the people down the road who will come here and say it was moments like this that allowed you to dream big. But perception is not fact in the world we live in. Perception just remains perception because we are riddled with assumptions. Some of you may have done this before, but play along with me. Just raise your right hand like this. Now gently put it on your chin. See, the chin is this pointed thing at the end of the face. You ignored everything I said and did exactly what I did. As a species, we are conditioned to react to that which we see instead of respond to that which we believe. Reaction is based on life's possibles. Response is based on your permissibles. That's why William Blake once said this: eyes dim windows of the soul, distorts the heavens from pole to pole, and goads us to believe a lie when we see with and not through the eye. We were supposed to see through the eye with a conscience, not with the eye devoid of a conscience. So there is a right and a wrong, a yes and a no, a black and a white, a good and a bad. Relativism, which is creeping into the mainline lexicon, is a crock. Relativism does not work. You ask a lady, she'll never tell you, I think I'm relatively pregnant. And 9 months from now, she's in for a relative surprise. So why have we come to this point of abstracts when, as a society, we were created to participate in absolutes? Somewhere along the line, we lost our moral foundations and began to go down the path of inductive reasoning versus deductive reasoning. Now, I'm a philosopher. That's what I'm called, a business philosopher. I try to connect the dots of human history to ask ourselves the simple question of motivation. When you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror, do you say, mirror, mirror on the wall, do I have a prayer at all? Or do you say, mirror, mirror on the wall, here I am, what's my call? When I went to America as a young immigrant, I had a language issue.
Yeah.
I had an accent issue. I had an enunciation issue. I had a pronunciation issue. But I wanted to be a communicator. I wanted to stand up and speak on stages all over the world. Who was going to give me that chance? Nobody. Success is not who you are in relation to the person sitting next to you. Success is not who you are in relation to the person sitting next to you. Success is who you are in relation to where you began with and what you began this journey with. Success then is going to where success is and hoping that by sheer centripetal force you're pulled in. Which means success is doing things that are uncomfortable. 97% of the people in this world operate in the comfort zone. 3% of the people in this world operate in the effective zone. The difference between comfort and effectiveness is called growth, and growth is uncomfortable. So I'll take you through a very simple process. What are the choices that define you? Remember, I used a word called assumptions. Within Asian cultures, of which I'm a brother on the outer periphery, having been raised in India, one of the assumptions was that you will need to listen to certain people because of their age. That's a wise assumption and a noble tradition. When I went to America and a man named Zig Ziglar was a person I started idolizing in some way, I told my father, and my father said, but he does not have formal education. See, he never went to college. If my assumption had held true, I would have never had the liberated life I've had. What are the assumptions that are holding you back? I was raised in India, as I mentioned, and an Indian man never talks publicly about his wife. I had to break that assumption. I will tell you without any fear of error. If it wasn't for that godly woman that came into my life 32 years ago, who has prayed for me religiously every night and cheerleaded me every day, I would not be your speaker today.
Woo!
So I had to break the assumption. In fact, I was doing a seminar in Chicago and some fellow said, I was really moved by what you said. I said, what are you talking about? That was just a personal example. He said, no, my wife keeps complaining that I don't tell her I love you enough. I said, what's the question? He said, how often should I tell my wife I love her? I said, before somebody else does. It's not complicated. That's why we say marriage is grand. Divorce $100,000. And some people find out the hard way. What are the chances, what are the choices that define you? I put a picture of a runner. Because one of the stories that captivated me some years ago was the story of Edwin Moses. Edwin Moses was arguably the greatest short and middle distance hurdler the world had ever seen. A 13-year stretch, 120 consecutive races, never defeated. I think he medaled in 3 Olympics, and the U.S. boycotted one in between. Edwin Moses went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, the same college that produced the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Morehouse College did not have good enough equipment, but Edwin Moses had great God-given talent. His coach said, you will be a superstar, but you have to go and practice on the neighborhood track. The neighborhood track, which had gravel, substandard shoes. And later in life, when he had accomplished the impossible, and had now become chairman of the Laurentis Foundation, and in an interview was being asked, how was it in those early days when you practiced on such unsavory conditions? Here's what Edwin Moses said, and these are words of genius. He said, I knew it was going to hurt, so I cried before practice. Success is tough. So is achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, hear me carefully. The food you will eat on the mountaintop only grows in the valley. Nothing grows on the mountaintop. If you're in a despondent situation now, wondering about recruiting, wondering about any of the things your industry professionals have so eloquently posited for you, Take this from a humble person who has traveled much of the free world and dealt with people in the very depths of despair. Hope is the foundational quality of all change, said John Maxwell. After Adler, John Maxwell said if there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. So today you're here. You have come and sat for a day and a half or two and listened to countless volumes of information on building, on engaging, on enhancing, on empowering, on excellence, on education. But what does the hope barometer say in your mind? Is it same old, same old? Hear me carefully. If you just added the information of these past 72 hours without deleting any of the old garbage that hasn't worked, the first sign of trouble, the old stuff will creep back up. You have to make some. See, you can make radical changes in minute steps. Earthquakes and hurricanes get all the publicity. Termites do more damage. That's why Eric Hoffer said, in times of change, it is the learners who will inherit the earth. While the learned will find themselves beautifully equipped for a world that no longer exists. Marshall McLuhan, a Canadian professor and philosopher, said, all of our assumptions have outlived their uselessness. If you're being gripped by anything that is not real, let it go. So there I was in the early part of my career wanting to do this, and everybody was looking at me as the package from India. Which ironically is fascinating. Today is India's Independence Day, and it was in the city of Taipei in 1995 that I came and did one of my first international seminars all those years ago. We've come full circle. Back in those days, I did not have a slot that I could start in. Today, using the words of Kelly, they have trusted me with the slot to finish. See, there is going to be, you have to come into this world understanding that nobody owes you anything. In fact, let me give you a funny stat. 80% of the people in this world don't care that you have a problem. The other 20% are really happy it's you. 100% of the people in this world don't give a hoot about you. In fact, do me a favor. Turn to the person on your left and say, you're amazing.
You're amazing.
Turn to the person on your right and say, glad you're facing facts. Life is tough. But if you're tough on yourself, life will become infinitely easier on you. Folks, I've been broke and I've been in debt. I've had money and I haven't had it. Overall, it's better to have it. But let me give you a newsflash. Money is not everything. Though it ranks reasonably close to oxygen, when you need it, there is no substitute. Money bought me a house. It actually bought me two. It'll never buy me a home with laughter. Money bought me a bed. It'll never buy me a good night's sleep. It bought me a good time. It won't buy me peace of mind. It bought me a companion. It won't buy me a friend for life. I like the things money will buy. I've traveled much of the free world. I've sat in front of the plane, and all of those things get money. Folks, you can get everything in this world that money will buy without character.
Yeah.
But you cannot get any of the things money won't buy without that character. What then is this character? Character is the ability to have pride in the mundane. What is the mundane? What you do every day. This morning I woke up at 4:30 and rehearsed this talk. I've done it before. But I've woken up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock every morning for the last 23 years, and I read at least 1 hour every morning because Sybil Stanton said, discipline is not on your back, needling you with imperatives. It's at your side, encouraging you with incentives. To which I would like to add, the day you make yourself a slave to discipline, the world will become your oyster. What are the chances you're going to take? How are you going to redefine those paradigms? Let me give you 3 quick hits and then we'll be done. First, the source of your influence. Where are you getting? The word was used, knowledge, quite extensively this morning. I would like to add the word wisdom. Knowledge is learned. Wisdom is lived. We got more knowledge right now than at any other time in human history. The largest percentage of educated people messing up the planet. How are we going to get wise? We have to understand the source of our influence. Are your role models consistent? Fred Smith said humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking less often of yourself. I'm reminded of this funny story. It takes place fictionally, of course. Many of you who have read classical literature know the name Sherlock Holmes, a fictional detective created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sherlock Holmes had a trusty sidekick by the name of Dr. Watson. TV shows have been made about that legendary pair, books have been written. So there's a funny story told anecdotally of Sherlock Holmes and Watson at the middle of the night camping out on the side of a mountain. Around 2:30 in the morning, Sherlock Holmes nudges Watson and says, "Watson, old chap, look up. What do you see?" Watson says, "Why, Holmes, I see millions of stars and can only surmise that astronomically there are billions of galaxies. Astrologically, I think Saturn is in Leo. Orologically, I think it's 3 in the morning. Meteorologically, I think it'll be a clear day tomorrow. Theologically, I marvel at God's amazing creation. Why, Holmes, what do you see?" He said, "Watson, you idiot, someone stole our tent." Sometimes we miss reality because we are participating in fantasy. I'm an old curmudgeon, so my social media team brought me kicking and screaming. I still am a person who likes to give reverence to Billy Graham. I let Heather and Brad on my team deal with Instagram. But let's look at this thing. Is the source of your influence social media? We're swiping for relationships. We're checking for likes. We're tweeting 140 characters of ignorance or less. And suddenly we wake up and realize that the tears of loneliness are not digital. Folks, high tech should never replace high touch. Within created order. Man was designed for accomplishment. We were not designed to live in isolation. It is okay. I'm on every platform, and when we finish, I'll put up how you can engage with me. I have a team that takes care of that because they say that's the only way I will reach a generation. But I leave my phone at home, downstairs. When I go upstairs, I travel a lot. It is unfair to that bride of mine to be engaged looking at a device. It is blasphemy to not be able to bless my son. Folks, I have a poem I share with my son. "Son, I may never gather diamonds and gold. My colleagues may consider me a failure when my business life is told. But if you can grow up good and godly, my son, I will be glad. For I know I have been successful as your dad." What is the source? Who are we listening to? Who are our heroes? Kelly lives in the place in America we call Hollywood. Well, think about it. Bonnie talked about being in politics. And I'm pretty sure she knows Peggy Noonan, one of the most amazing writers who worked as a speechwriter for President Ronald Reagan, the great communicator. Peggy Noonan has 135,000 followers on Twitter. Kim Kardashian over 2 million. Is our world not fleeting down a slippery slope of stupidity? Ignorance is a medal. We should stop wearing it.
I know.
7 billion people on planet Earth, and there's not another just like you. You're unique in every attribute of human existence, yet we go with the flow. But as my wise mentor used to say, if you let someone else row your boat, they're going to take it to where they want to go, not to where you want to go.
Yeah.
What are the sources of your influence? Role models. Folks, tradition is not a strategy. If it is, culture is your only formula. I'll give you a classic story from my own childhood. My mother, my late mother, saint of a woman, used to give me a coconut to take as an offering to the local holy shrine on my way to school. Tradition. A stevia that Ukrainian milkman said in Fiddler on the Roof when he was asked, why are you worried? 4 daughters make 4 different decisions. What does stevia say? Tradition, tradition, tradition. I used to carry that coconut religiously. Every Monday, my mama would give me a coconut. I would take it to the guy. He would break the coconut, use the water as an offering, and give me half the coconut, which he would bless to bring back home as something auspicious. And I was a good kid, so I did it. Tradition. I had a friend, Vikram, who loved coconuts. He looked at me and said, "You're doing this all wrong. The water in the coconut is the most refreshing thing that God has given us. So I'm going to make you a deal. I will break the coconut. I'm an expert. We'll drink the water together. We'll eat half the coconut. I'll bless it. You take it back to your mother. She will not know." And that's what I did. I did that for the next 6 years. I became old. I went to the West. I got married. I had my own son. And I decided to confess to my now aged mother that I had actually violated the tradition. I came back home, and in the Telugu language, I said, "Amma," which means mother. I said, "You remember the coconut?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "I never did what you asked me to." You know what she said? "That's why we've had all this bad luck." Tradition. How many things are you blaming on tradition?
Yeah, my mom.
Yesterday, when they picked me up at the airport, day before yesterday, they asked me a question. They said, "How was the flight?" I said, "It landed." See, that's all I ask for now. I'm a very simple guy. My request in this world is it needs to go up and come down in the same number of people. I win. But we pretend to be logical when we are the most emotional of all species, hence we're having no fun.
Yeah.
In fact, some of you are not laughing of any of my jokes. There's some new scientific evidence. If you have a tendency to laugh and you suppress the laughter, it'll come back inside and spread your hips. We pretend to be logical.
Yeah.
When we're actually emotional. I was telling Kelly, I've flown roughly 5 million miles in the air, which means I've heard the flight attendant tell me no less than 1,000 times, "Buckle up." Whether it's a small seven-seater or a 747, everybody buckles up. Nobody tells the flight attendant. What does she say? "The captain told me to tell you to buckle up." She's the leader because she has a uniform. And you listen. Everybody in their seats buckles up. Now, I've seen some of you drive your cars. None of you buckle up your car seatbelt. And in the insurance industry, National Safety Board, through insurance actuarial tables, came up with this statistic. If you're in your car and you have your seatbelt on, 3 in 5 chances you'll live. By your own industry. Now, after 5 million miles in the air, I can tell you without any fear of error, if something happens to that plane up there, I don't care how well you're strapped in, you're going to die. In fact, in talking to the airlines, I asked them, "Oh, why do you ask us to stay buckled?" They said, "In case of an accident, we know who sat where." See, otherwise you're not even
Yeah, that's true.
So, they need it in one spot.
Yeah.
That's just a morbid example. Don't take that too seriously.
Yeah, that's true. They need to know.
When we are emotional. I live in America right now. It's got more food than any other country in the world. Most number of people on a diet.
That's true too.
Here's the tragedy of that great nation.
Yeah.
We got more marriage counselors per capita than any other country in the world. Highest rate of divorce. Foundations.
Yeah.
God has given us 3 great institutions: the family, worship, and government. We have killed the family, we're eroding worship, and depending on governments. That's why we're failing.
Yeah.
Philosophy 101. Being the source of your influence. Second, doing the course of your development. Affiliation determines income. Reputation determines outcome. My mentor used to say, inspect what you expect. I know a lot has been talked about recruiting, and I've recruited a fair share of people, but I'm an old salesman. For me, everything is sales. I've never gotten away from prospecting every single day to fill the pipeline, no matter how hard. And I've written 6 books now. I don't need to do it. But I love the profession. I jokingly tell people that even when I fire people, I do it positively. I call them into my office and I'll say, I don't know what we're going to do without you, but starting tomorrow, we're going to try. See, when I look at the course of your development, Michelle shared a touching story about her mama. I lost mine a month right before hers, February 9th. And she was talking about the pictures. But she said she made that her motivation to talk about significance of some kind of growth. There will come a time when you hit the end game, and there are only 2 statements you can make. I wish I had, or I'm glad I did. I wish I had is one of regret. I'm glad I did is one of possibility. Someone asked me, Mr. Dhanam, what do you want the preacher to say at your funeral? I want him to look down and say, oh my God, he's still moving. See, I still have things to do. I'm not ready to die. But I'm a salesman. I want to come kicking and sliding into that grave saying, holy cow, what a ride. Enthusiasm. The last 4 letters of the word enthusiasm, I-A-S-M, should stand for I am sold myself. Do you believe in your industry as much as you want someone else to believe in it? This is why Neiman Marcus founder Stanley Marcus said, a sale is never complete until a person or a product never comes back, but they bring someone else who wants to buy. Here's a question. If you sold someone something 5 years ago, and you spent the commission, and they're still enjoying the benefits of the product, who got the better deal? They did. Selling is not what you do to someone, it's what you do for someone.
Yeah.
Foundational attributes. The course of your development. I just shared with you that I read every morning. Folks, I have read at least 1 book a week on average for the last 23 years. Don't just sit there to get there, sit there to arrive more informed. Your competition is getting keener, are you? Automobile University of Southern California did a study, and they said that if you drive in your car, at least they gave the stat based on distance, but I'm going to give it to you based on time. They said if you drive 12,000 miles a year, which in the United States would equate to about an hour in your automobile coming and going, 30 minutes morning, 30 minutes evening, will bring you to that 12,000 mark. So let's assume if you just had an hour a day going to work or coming from work, in your case it may be longer. They said if you do that, within the span of 3 years of commuting, you could get the equivalent of 2 years of college just being passive and listening. Call it Automobile University.
Yeah.
Listening to information that is good, clean, pure, powerful, and positive. Arriving more informed than when you left. I fly a lot and I see people will sit in a plane and they look at the head in front of them for the rest of the journey. That head is ugly to begin with. It's not going to get prettier by the time you land. And if it's the back of my head, I don't know what they think it's going to tell them. I never even stand in a line without a piece of paper or something that I've torn out of a magazine or something that I bought that I can read. Because now the smartphone allows you to do that. Here's the question. How many of you have a smartphone? How many of you are willing to admit that the phone is smart? Yeah. Did your IQ go up because you bought it? We call it a smartphone. And guess what we don't use it for? Making a call. We use it for everything. My son doesn't answer his phone.
Yeah, so true.
In fact, communication with the millennials just strips me up to no end. The other day, my son, when he was a teenager living at home, conversation with him would go like this. Where are you going? Nowhere. What do you mean you're going nowhere? That is physically and physiologically impossible. I understand your Star Wars world, but if you move from here to here, you're there. You don't disappear into some cosmic vortex. Where are you going? Nowhere. Who are you going with? It gets better. No one. What you doing? Nothing. So he's going nowhere with no one to do nothing. When are you coming back? Don't know. scared. This kid's a mechanical engineer. No clue. Here's the final part of our generation's kids. Then he says, "Pop, can you loan me $20? Let me get this straight. You want to go nowhere
Oh my gosh.
with no one to do nothing and not know when you're coming back, but you want me to finance it? I'm not the government."
Mag-off. No, I mean, this one.
That's why my definition of bureaucracy is quite different. Reputation and affiliation. Who is in your inner
Yes,
circle?
thank you.
John Maxwell says the law, the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, he calls this the law of the inner circle. Don't let every Tom, Dick, and Harry come
Galing
into
nitong
your
speaker na to. Grabe. Yeah.
Be selective who's in your inner circle. My bride and my son are in my inner circle. My parents and my in-laws are in my inner circle, and my best friend. If you don't fall into that category, you can criticize me, but you don't have permission to correct me. If you let everybody come in and rain on your parade and their feelings matter, you're going to be a wandering generality. I'm talking about becoming a meaningful specific.
Right.
Think about what creates wonder. You know why we call it a selfie? We are so lazy we can't even spell narcissistic. Look it up, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Man has put a person on the moon. We have invented advanced cures for diseases, and we are fascinated by the most ridiculous of things. I was in a hotel in the United States, in the state of Arkansas, which gave us one doozy in Arkansas. That's a whole different issue. But in this hotel, called the Peabody Hotel, at 5 in the evening, they say everybody has to gather around the fountain because we're about to see a spectacle of human engineering. At least that's how they build it up. So everybody's waiting with their camera next to the fountain at this 5-star hotel, and here's what happens at 5 o'clock. A dude walks a bunch of ducks. Literally. Ducks in a row with a bow tie. This guy's walking the ducks. That he's managed to get ducks to walk in a line, and this is what people are excited about. And I'm saying, you know what? If you show me a duck making 10 guys from Arkansas walking around, where is our imagination gone? Imagination is the biggest nation in the world. The biggest room in the world, room for improvement. There's always a smart one in every audience. What's the smallest room? Mushroom. There, that was free. Finally, the force of your impact. Folks, man is tri-dimensional. We're mental, physical, and spiritual. We're frustrated because we're trying to eke out an existence in a two-dimensional way. Many years ago, in the middle 30s, Arthur Guiterman wrote a poem called Gaily the Troubadour. And I'm going to try to recite that poem from memory. And I want you to pay careful attention to the words to see if everything he predicted has come to pass. First, dentistry was painless. Then bicycles were chainless. Then carriages were horseless. And many laws enforceless. Soon, cookery was fireless. Telegraphy was wireless. Coffee caffeineless. And cigars nicotineless. Then, oranges were seedless. The putting green was weedless. The college boy hatless. And the proper diet fatless. Now, our motorways are dustless. Our new steel is rustless. Our tennis courts are sodless. And our new religion's godless. We have arrived at a place where we are happy with inductive reasoning. My heart likes it. My head agrees with it. You better approve it, and you better applaud it. We become spectators when life is a participator sport. How many of you have ever been to a sporting event, soccer match, baseball game, something? Yeah. See, every sporting event in the world is a microcosm of life. 50 to 75,000 people desperately in need of exercise, constantly yelling at 22 people desperately in need of rest. So here you are, spectators, for a day and a half, trying to ask yourself, myself this pivotal question. For the event in Hong Kong, the chair next to me is empty. Can I commit? I want to grow, so I've come to learn, but can I believe that that possibility exists for me? In his best-selling book, Zig Ziglar in book See You at the Top tells an amazing story. A story that changed my life. The story is of a balloon salesman in a park in New York. Every time there was a small lull in the crowd, he released the balloon, and the crowd gathered because they saw a balloon go up, a colorful one. And that was his sales technique. As soon as the crowd died down, he'd release another balloon, and people would go and buy more balloons. A little black kid, African American, walked up to the balloon salesman and said, "Mister, if you release a black balloon, will it go up?" And the balloon salesman gives us words of wisdom when he says, "Son, it's what's on the inside of the balloon that makes it rise." When I read that story, I knew my career would take off. The first appointment you have to have every morning is not with a client. The first appointment you have every morning is with yourself. When you wake up in the morning, what is your self-talk? Psychologists have said that your self-talk every morning is more powerful than the next 5 inputs you'll receive during the course of the day. What are you putting into your mind that allows you to have this force of impact? Now I put some words up there. Inheritance. If you're living your life to leave an inheritance, those that get it are really glad you're dead. Learn to leave a legacy. My father gave me a good name. I have not lived in that little southern Indian town in over 30 years. And yet when I go to the corner store and there's a crowd, he says, "Take whatever you want, we can settle up later. You're Dhanam's boy." He gave me a good name. The good book said a long time ago, a good name is worth more in reputation than silver or gold. What name are you building for your agency? What name are you building for your organization? Are you going to set standards that will become the benchmark? See, I have set some records in sales that will never be broken. Because when I went in and they said, "This is your quota," and they gave me a number, I added 25% to that with my belief that if I did what they expected, if I wanted to do what I expected of myself, I would always exceed what they expected of me. Other people's standards are just standards. Your standards are intrinsic. That's deductive. Good, bad, yes, no. I planned and prepared. Now I legitimately expect to win. Earl Loomis said, as individuals, we deny our talents and our abilities because to acknowledge their existence will now force us to use them. So let me give you a couple of quick stories, and then we'll be on our way. Many years ago when I was in direct sales, working for the legendary Zig Ziglar, the phone rings. And the guy on the other end of the phone, in his accent, he was from Panama. He said, "How much Zig Ziglar from Panama City?" In those days, Mr. Ziglar's fees were $75,000 US for a 1 to 3 hour engagement. Not because of content, he said, but because of commitment. He had been booked 2.5 years in advance. We're just putting numbers up there hoping that they'll go away. But people kept accepting. See, in your industry, there was a legend by the name of Ben Feldman, East Liverpool, Ohio, selling $5,000 whole life policies. Man was an introvert by nature. The first speech he made, they had to put a sheet in front of him. He was afraid of a crowd, and this guy had sold more than many companies combined. East Liverpool is not a great metropolis. All he kept was adding zeros. And so when the phone rings and says, "How much Zig Ziglar from Panama?" I said, $75,000. I stood up. Hear me carefully. The word price was tossed around quite a bit. And I work for the Cadillac of trading companies, and my own personal fees are no slouch either. I don't ever apologize for price. When I quote a number and they say, "Wow, that's a lot," I always say, lower my voice and say this. Years ago, we made a decision to explain price one time, rather than apologize for quality for a lifetime. what part of my value proposition do you want me to repeat? So when the phone rings and the guy says, how much? I said, $75,000. He said, and? I said, and first class expenses for 4. I thought, if I'm sending the old man, I'll go. He said, and? I said, and a trip through the Panama Canal, because Mr. Ziegler said one of my goals is to go through the Panama Canal. Remember when Kelly talked about how the value proposition, when your mission aligns with their mission, something intrinsic begins to change. So I was now not operating on my goal of selling, I was operating on his goal of giving. I said, and a trip to the Panama Canal. Now many people in this audience will think, well, that's a cheat. You're just adding stuff that didn't exist for personal benefit. No, folks, here's the reality. That day, if they had told me his fee was $1 million, I still thought I was giving it away. Because anytime I sold Mr. Ziegler, I believed I was giving his fee away. Because when I needed life change, he changed my life. There is no price I can put on.
Yeah.
Do you believe in your company and your product to that degree that whatever you're offering, you believe you're giving away at a discount because it is actually that much more priceless when they need it 30 years down the road?
Yes.
That's value. See, Dennis Wakely said value is in the doer, not the deed. I'll never forget the day when we got to Panama. We had trailed through the Panama Canal. In the Miraflores locks, that 1913 computer, Mr. Ziegler was given the privilege of moving a lever that allowed 50 million gallons of water to flow into that lock and allow a ship to cross across the Isthmus of Panama in that lock through 2 oceans. And my hero from Yazoo City, Mississippi, who never went to college, gently wiped a tear from his eye. He looked at me and he said, boy, today would have never happened if you didn't believe in me more than anybody else. How much do you believe in what you do? One last story and then I'm done. In the year 2005, I took Mr. Ziegler. I'll just put this last slide out for those of you who want to figure out how to track with me. In 2005, I took Mr. Ziegler to India. The man who had liberated me was now in the land of my birth. India did not want to give me a position on the platform. They wanted the white wizard from the West to do all the talking. He said, I'm not coming to India until you give my boy a chance to speak. They said, nobody wants to hear some other fellow from India who just went to America and came back. Why don't you speak? Mr. Ziegler said, this is his dream. He spoke of my dreams. I'm coming to India. Unless he speaks, I'm not coming. So reluctantly, he gave me an hour. He spoke before me, he spoke after me. When I finished my talk, I went away quietly. I didn't expect anything. When he finished his, he walked out to the front again and asked me to come up from the audience. Both of us were mic'd. He put his arm around me and here's what he told the crowd. He says, people of India, you sent me a boy who's scared. I bring you back a man who is my legacy.
Woo!
President John F. Kennedy said, goals are nothing more than dreams with feet. But T.E. Eliot said this, all men dream, but not equally. Those that dream in the dark, dusky recesses of their mind wake by day to find that it was but vanity. But those that dream with their eyes open, pay attention to them, they will change the world. Who was Eliot? How do you get to this point in life when you begin to ask yourself, are you dreaming with your eyes open, or are you dreaming with your eyes closed? Actually, the quote was by T. Lawrence. T. Lawrence was Lawrence of Arabia, by the way, just to complete that thought process. So I'll close with this. Plan with attitude. Will. Prepare with aptitude. Skill. Participate with servitude. Humility. Receive with gratitude. Honor. And that should separate you from the multitudes. You can't write as fast as I said it, but if you go online and type in Krish Dhanam quote, that'll pop up. Plan with attitude, prepare with aptitude, participate with servitude, receive with gratitude. And that should be enough to separate you from the multitudes. So I dropped a lot of heavy information on you. We tried to make you laugh a little bit. We tried to make you cry a little bit. But I'm a guy who wants to send you with a little pep in your step and a bounce to your ounce. So let me give you one totally wheels-off story in my life. I've got about 4 minutes and then we'll be done. After I had achieved some fame and fortune, I was speaking for a Fortune 30 company in Florida. I finished the engagement. I was in the hotel waiting for the airport shuttle that would take me to the airport and home to my bride. Now I'm standing in Florida. I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt. And the people over there were not mistaking me for being a cultural ambassador or a communicator, but they had perception. Remember this, perception is fact, fact is never fact. So the shuttle driver was running late. So I'm proactive in what I do. I gently went up, I opened the boot of the shuttle, I put my luggage in. The lady who was standing next to me thought I was the baggage handler for the hotel. So she looked at me and asked me to put her bags in the van. Which I did. Baggage handling is easy, you just lift. See, I live my life on this saying. Be the job, big or small, do it well or not at all. Your word is your bond. If your word's no good, you're no good. Simple. So I put her bags in the van. The guy standing next to her now wants to get involved, so he asked me to put his bags in the van. So I put his bags too. Now I just got there, I just told you I'm a salesman. I just told you I love the profession. So wherever in the world I am, if there is ignorance, I like to profit from it. So as soon as I put his bags in the van, I put my hand out and asked for a tip. So he gave me a couple of bucks. She gave me a couple of bucks. I put them in my pocket, and when the shuttle driver drove, I got into the front of the shuttle. Both of them are now embarrassed. Then I flipped my luggage tag over, which has my title, Intergalactic Yoda or whatever. He tapped me on the shoulder. He said, "Oh my God, I made a horrible mistake." I said, "You're not getting your money back." At which point he said the words that made the story tellable. He said, "I wish all my employees had your disposition." Ladies and gentlemen, for about 50 odd minutes, that's all I've been talking about, disposition. How do you think affects? You can have everything in this world if you just help enough other people get what they want. It's not that hard. So I close by simply saying, I've literally traveled the world and the 7 seas. I've been on my highs, and many a night I wept on my knees. But of all the groups I've spoken to, the most honored I felt is my time with you. I'm Anila's husband and his dad.
Mga ladies, sa mga kaibigan,